Welcome back to another video. Z Shaw and Jay Nice back at it again. Post Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone ate a lot of mashed potatoes and turkey and gravy. Had a great Thanksgiving. And John, the Commanders, we've had our doubts, but they came out swinging, man. Prime time national game. Mariota, or Mariota, as Chris Collinsworth said over the game. That might be the correct way to pronounce it, but we look good. And especially who look good, Treylon Burks with the catch of the year.
Yes, that was not much to say. I was speechless. That was probably, definitely the catch of the year for the Commanders. No, that was insane. That was really good to see.
Bro, fade against Riley Moss, who's been getting cooked all year for Denver. One-on-one, one-handed. He went up the ladder and grabbed it. And it was just like, bro, this is the talent and the potential people see from him. It's just he needs to put it together consistently. And I'm just like, bro, that's what I want to see. Young guys getting the reps. Young guys getting a chance to prove themselves, and Treylon Burks did.
And on the middle finger that he just had surgery on that was injured. It still had the tape on it when they showed the replay. So, props to him too.
It was injured. It was still recovering. I didn't know
that.
that.
Yeah, that was the hand that he had the surgery on his middle finger. He basically just gave the middle finger to everybody and said, "I'm going to come down with this ball too" on that play. But no, it was a great play. He had the tape on that finger. He missed those. I think he missed a game maybe two with that injured finger. But no, that was a great catch. Just incredible.
Absolutely amazing, man. And Treylon Burks, you got a spot on this team from that one catch. I'm serious. From that one catch, you should be on the team. Maybe not wide receiver 2 or 3, but definitely a great depth piece. Young, talented, big body is what the Commanders really need. Shout out to DQ for taking over play calling, man. DQ and Joe Witt are like best buddies. DQ goes to all of Joe Witt's kids' like football games. It's hard to demote your friend, your best friend, but at the end of the day, had to be done, and you can see the difference between Joe Witt and Dan Quinn's defense, man. What a difference. Defense came out swinging and played very well. How many punts did we see, John? We literally talked about that. We wanted to see a punt, and we've stopped the Broncos multiple times when they could have iced the game. They should have, but they didn't.
Yeah, I think we saw a first quarter punt too, which I don't think we'd seen that since maybe the Giants week 1. But we saw some punts. We finally saw a turnover. I think I could have caught that interception. But no, I think it threw it right to him. But no, I think we finally have seen the little wrinkles. Even Martin dropping back into coverage on a big third down play, kind of right where Sutton they wanted to throw that ball in the zone. So yeah, we've seen some wrinkles. We've seen some differences, and it's just a shame Quinn couldn't have made this change a couple weeks sooner. Obviously, they played really strong offenses. Seattle, Detroit. Those games where we just we're getting killed and couldn't stop anybody. There's teams they could have put up 50 if they didn't let off the gas. But Witt was definitely not fit to be calling plays, and we've seen Quinn, at least make our defense look serviceable and like an NFL defense.
This quote came to me. Joe Witt said he's been waiting for this opportunity to be a DC, and bro, sorry, you're gonna have to wait a little longer because no one's gonna trust you to be DC moving forward. Anyway, Bobby Wagner told Jacob Martin to drop back into coverage and not rush the passer. What IQ and leadership from Bobby Wagner. I know he's slow. He got cooked by Evan Ingram in OT on that in route. That's not who he is anymore. But Bobby Wagner still has the leadership and the IQ to be a great piece for this team. And man, I'm looking forward to the future because hopefully Bobby Wagner stays another year so we can keep coaching and mentoring Jordan McGee, who looked very impressive. Fast, twitchy, explosive, getting to the right hole. Jordan McGee's got to be our linebacker 1 moving forward with the green dot on his helmet calling plays. You just hope some of that IQ from Bobby Wagner rubs off of Jordan McGee moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. McGee has flashes. He has the speed, and you're going to need him to be a big piece of the defense moving forward. So it's good for him to get the reps. And as you said, Wagner's a great leader. He doesn't have the speed he once had, obviously, but he's got Super Bowl experience, and he's been a great mentor for the younger guys. So you want someone like that around to kind of mentor that next generation of who's going to be taking over the D.
One more thing before we move on. Marcus Mariota, best backup quarterback in the entire league. He might be a fringe bridge QB1, but man, as a backup, he's a baller, man. Despite that horrendous pick. Dude, why are you throwing that, Marcus? Don't do that. That's not a good throw. Just throw it away. But man, he balled out against one of the best, if not the best defense in the entire NFL. And Vance Joseph as DC, he's not sweet either, bro. So Mariota, you came in prime time, you balled out, you had a chance to win it. You did get us there. You drove down the field in the fourth quarter. Yeah, you time of possession was great. You made plays with your legs, with your arm. There were some overthrows or throws that where the receiver wasn't where they should be, but you know, you're not perfect. But man, Mariota, you balled out, and I know you wanted to win. Obviously, as a competitor, you want to win. You look disappointed, but at the end of the day, Nick Bonito made a great play, and you can't do anything about that.
Yeah, and I'll just say one more thing, just touching on the game recap before we move on. Shout out to Moody for making that kick. It's not easy to come in to a new team. First week, he obviously hit the game winner on that field against us for the Bears earlier this season. But we don't get shout outs for going to our day-to-day job and just doing what we're paid to do. But I think for Commanders fans, we've had an uncertainty at kicker for the last couple of seasons. So just seeing, a new long snapper coming in, basically got signed to the team late Friday night, stepping in, had some shaky high snaps, but Tressway is a super good pro back there, getting the holds down good. And shout out to Moody for just making his kicks in the clutch too.
Absolutely. And Jake Moody, if you missed that kick, I would have rioted because how do you make the game winner against us, then you're going to lose the game for us? Like, that would have been crazy. Some conspiracy tinfoil hat stuff. But also, shout out the long snapper. Tyler Ott was injured literally the day before the game, and we bring this guy in. I don't even know if long snappers who have regular jobs practice all that often. So for you to come in on Sunday night and to get your snaps down, shout out to him. I know no long snappers don't win games. They can lose you a game, but whoever this guy was, you came in, you had a 9 to 5. He's probably working that 9 to 5 right now, John, as we speak. But shout out to him.
Yeah, for sure. And a side note on that too, Matt Gay, I'm not sure if anyone saw it, but he doinked in a 25-yarder in the 49ers game against Cleveland. So he almost missed a 25-yarder. It literally hit the upright and then went through kind of sideways, but it's just I'm glad we moved on from him, and I wish him the best, but I mean, he even was shaky on a 25-yard field goal. So just, yeah.
What are we doing in San Francisco? Just trading kickers and players here and there, man. I know John Lynch and Adam Peters have that connection, but we cut Matt Gay for a reason.
Yeah, it's just weird to swap players like that. Kickers, day one kickers basically have switched spots now. So it's definitely an interesting carousel for sure.
Yeah. And pretty much. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Broncos. The Broncos are going to compete for the number 1 seed. They have the best defense in the NFL, which in my opinion, I've been saying this since the start of the season. But John, I got to ask you, it was a closer game than what people thought it'd be on prime time. And I know they're away, but still, it doesn't matter. You're a professional athlete. It doesn't matter if you're going all the way across the coast. You should be able to win by double digits. The Broncos were favored. Are the Broncos frauds? Are they truly a Super Bowl contender?
I've seen a lot of mixed feelings on this and different responses and feelings, but to me, they are, just because you have to look at the way they're winning these games, and they are being a Super Bowl contender, that is. They're having that kind of Commanders magic that we had last year that got the Commanders to the NFC Championship game when nobody thought they were going to have that kind of success. And when you're just having that year, everything just breaks your way. I think I saw their montage on Twitter earlier. They've won, I want to say it's like 5 or 6 games on the last play of the game. A lot of one-score possession games they're winning and finding a way. When it's your year, you just find things break your way. You get that play at the end, like Benito jumping up, wide open play, great play call. He jumps up right time, swats it down, couple game-winning field goals. Big like 33-point fourth quarter against the Giants, down 19-0 with like 5 minutes left. I mean, these are just like unheard of ways to come back and win games, that just once in a decade type of wins. Similar to the Commanders' Hail Mary, right? It's just once in a lifetime, once in a decade type of play like that, where you don't see it every week. So, I think they are contenders just because their defense is strong. Defense wins championships. Defense is going to travel. And then they're just finding those ways to win games at the end. And you see teams where sometimes a team could be blowing people out week in and week out, and then they're in a close game in the playoffs. It's tied in the fourth quarter, and they're not used to being there. They haven't been there all season, right? They've been crushing, blowing people out. They're pulling their starters by the fourth quarter, and sometimes in the playoffs, you're going to be in a close contest more likely than not. And, if you have that experience of, hey, we've been here before, we've gotten it done, we can do it again. sometimes that can prepare you better for later in the season than, a team like maybe Seattle who's been crushing people 28-0, 26-0. They're going to find themselves in a close game, and it's like, crap, we haven't been here before. You don't have the experience of how to get through that. Whereas Denver has found numerous ways to win games. Walk-off field goals, defense has won it. The offense still looks shaky, but I don't think Bo Nix is going to lose you a game necessarily. I mean, he had obviously the bad throw to Wagner, but a lot of his receivers dropped quite a couple balls yesterday. Some were a little off target on his part. But Sean Payton's not going to put him in uncomfortable spots, I don't think. He's a smart OC. He's been around the game. So I think they are contenders, and I do think that the Commanders are a little bit better than the record now that we've made that change on the D and we're getting some players back, like Terry. Will Harris is back. Jonathan Jones is back. Some of these pieces that have been out weeks ago are now back in the defense. So I'm going to say that they are contenders just because they kind of have that magic that we saw last year with our team go all the way to the championship game.
That's fair. And you do bring up Terry McLaurin and Will Harris. Terry, our wide receiver one, that opened up the running game. I mean, you saw the lanes, you saw the holes. Like, a truly elite wide receiver one opens up everything. You see that with Dallas, with Pickens and CD. Now that Pickens has his act together, you gotta have two safeties back and not stack 8 in the box. I mean, with Terry McLaurin, you gotta drop a safety back and not stack 8 or 9 in the box, so the rushing lane's open, which is good. And then Will Harris is a great communicator. Quan Martin's not that kind of guy to communicate. I think it was Will Harris was the backbone of the defense, talking and communicating. He can guard tight ends, running backs, and he can stop the run here and there. So it's really, really good to get Will Harris back. I think he was a really important piece for our defense. I just want to say, piggybacking off for what you said, we're not as bad as people think we are. I know we're 3-9. Our 2 starting defensive ends injured. QB1 injured. Very inconsistent play availability. Wide receiver 1 out most of the year. Our best lineman, Sam Cosmi, is coming back from a torn ACL. Usually after the second year is when you're truly healthy. So I don't think he's truly healthy. We've had just so many injuries. I mean, the Rams were 5-12 one year with Sean McVay. I think we're more of that team than a team like the Titans, Jets, Browns, Saints. Like, I think we're top 6 in the draft. But, John, we're really not that far away. Let's, like I said, go get Jalen Phillips. Go get an edge rusher. If you're going to trade Payne, make sure, try to get another 3rd, 4th rounder and draft another D tackle. Get another linebacker. I think our corners are set. But, man, I'm really excited for the future, man. Like, get JD1 back healthy. Get Terry. Get another elite wide receiver to pair with him. Because we're good. We are good.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to win in this league. So, we have our quarterback, which we haven't been able to say that in a long time here. So now's the time on the rookie deal, especially. You just go out and you get pieces to fill holes and you try to surround him with talent. That's what they try to do, go out getting Debo. Noah Brown hasn't panned out this year. He's been an oft-injured receiver in his career, and it's proving it, again this year. So, no, now's the time to go out, add pieces, and especially, load up on the defense, as you said. As you can see with, someone like Benito, where if you have a disruptive D lineman, I think he had 9 sacks. They showed on the broadcast last night. He's leading the team in sacks. So you go out there and get a disruptive D lineman like that can make plays. It's a big game changer.
Absolutely. I just want to shout out, Matt Hasselbeck was on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd, and he's basically saying that Bo Nix deserves more credit than what he's getting. Bo Nix's stats are very mid. I think he's got 2,700 passing yards, 19 touchdowns and 7 picks. For me, those are mid numbers. And Bo Nix, as you saw during last night's game, if he stayed in the pocket, he wasn't very accurate. Like, literally, Chris Collinsworth pointed that out. He's like, if the Commanders keep in the pocket, Bo Nix is not as effective. And would you know it, Bo Nix, on his second play where he stayed in the pocket, he threw a pick right to Bobby Wagner. It was a bad play, bad read. And it was on Bo Nix because it was just right to Wagner. And every time, especially in the first quarter, Bo Nix was escaping, rolling out. He was very accurate. The Broncos were moving the chains. But you keep in the pocket, he's not that effective. Reading or whatever, if he's tight or he's stressed or he's putting too much pressure on himself, it doesn't matter. Bo Nix is more like a middleweight in the middleweight class, like a Hurts, a Purdy, a Tua maybe, a Caleb Williams. He's not a heavy hitter. He's not in the heavyweight class like like a Jaden Daniels, a Stafford, a Herbert, a Mahomes, and a Josh Allen. So I give him credit where credit's due, but Bo Nix has not been impressive for me. I mean, what do you say about that take, John?
No, I 100% agree. He can win you a game. He can basically just you said it perfectly, right? He's not gonna win a game with his arm necessarily. I think he's going to need good pieces around him. He's got the defense behind him, very similar to what we see with someone like Jalen Hurts. Where they got the pieces around him. They got Sutton on the outside at receiver. Evan Ingram's a really good tight end, as we know from his days with the Giants, killing us. So I mean, yeah, he's not gonna. He is definitely better outside the pocket if you can get him play action and some rollouts. We saw him make that great diving throw to Sutton on I think it might have been third down. Barely. I don't know how his shin stayed off the ground, but it did, and he throws that ball for the touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, he's not elite, but he's winning them games. I don't think he deserves a ton of credit. I think their offense has been probably what's holding them back, with the defense kind of keeping people low scoring. But I mean, he can keep you in a game, kind of like that perfect game manager. He'll make some throws, if he's outside the pocket. I don't think he's going to necessarily lose you a game with a bonehead play. He's had that one bad throw to Wagner, but yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. He's middle class. I think he's right there. If you need him to go down and get the game-winning drive, I don't know if you want to rely on that to win with his arm, but their defense keeps him in enough games where all the options are open. He's never been in a situation, except some of those fourth quarter comebacks, where it's been like back against the wall. They got to just throw it and ball out. So no, I think he's right. Middle class, just like you said.
Middle class. Also, the Broncos had multiple times to ice the game. Our defense isn't known for getting multiple stops, especially in the fourth quarter. So, Bo Nix, you had an opportunity on prime time against a bad defense, a bad team with a bad record, to ice the game, get a field goal, get a couple first downs, get a touchdown, and you didn't do it. So, it just showed to me that we're not as far away as people think, and Bo Nix isn't as good as someone like Matt Hasselbeck or Colin Cowherd like to think he is. But anyway, John, on that last drive, we converted a 3rd and 25, which is unheard of. I had no faith we were going to do that, especially against one of the best defense in the entire NFL. But how do we get there, John? Like, how did we get to 3rd and 25?
I think you might be alluding to the officiating here a little bit.
Oh, I am.
Maybe. Yeah, no, I mean, every team is going to say that their team, the refs are against them. They don't get any calls. But on the broadcast last night, they bring in Terry McAulay. Every channel, every network has their kind of former ref analyst person they bring in to refer to. I personally like Mike Pereira the best on Fox. But, NBC last night, Terry McAulay, they call him in. I think it was a grounding penalty that they called him Mariota. And it was I want to say the illegal motion or false start on McLaurin, kind of back-to-back plays there. And, every team's going to say the refs are against us. We're playing against 12 people out there with the refs. But when they bring in McAulay, who's the expert, former, official, and he's neutral, and he's just supposed to tell us, is that the right or wrong call? And his words were, not mine, his literal words were, this is absolutely not intentional grounding. And when you have a former, official who's neutral, supposed to just come in and tell me, by the letter of the law, is this a flag? And he's saying absolutely no. Then that becomes not just a commander's problem or a game problem. It just becomes a league problem, where the league needs to hold refs accountable and have some type of system in place, because another thing that's not consistent, and that's all anyone wants with this is consistency, right? We want to see the same type of contact, the same type of play called consistently both ways, all season. And we haven't seen the replay assist been used consistently, and kind of it almost is like it feels like, in a sense, they kind of pick and choose when to insert themselves into the game. But when you have someone like Terry McAulay, who's been in that room and been an official on the field, and says it's absolutely not the right call, that becomes just not even a fan problem. That becomes a league problem, that if they don't get a hold of this, then it's going to affect somebody else's team. It just so happened to affect ours last night on a national game where the whole world is watching. But, the league definitely has a problem with the officiating in terms of, replay assist. How much can they really correct? What is a subjective call in the field? What is something that I can jump in and say, nope, that wasn't the correct call? Because to me, grounding isn't a subjective call. It's like, was there a receiver in the area? Was there not? And is he in the tackle box, right? And if it's something like concrete like that, we should be able to get that call right, or you would hope so. So, I mean, not to say every fan's going to think the refs are against him, as I've said, but, that's a clear case in point to me, where it's like, this guy says it's absolutely the wrong call, and there's nothing we can do to fix it. Like, how can we make this better so we don't see these things happening in big games affecting anybody?
Absolutely. And shout out to Terry in 22 when we were playing the Giants Sunday night prime time. Terry McLaurin lines up on the outside. He points and checks with the ref if he's okay, right? I had no idea what it was before, but now I do. Receiver checks with the ref. Am I okay? Ref said, "You're good." And then Terry looks back at the quarterback, and then the ref throws the flag. Okay? And now it happens again. Chris Collinsworth even said on national TV, on the broadcast, he said Terry McLaurin was not moving and the penalty should not have been called on him. That's two times in primetime games. Terry McLaurin has been called for like an illegal motion twice. And Terry McLaurin is elite. There is no possible way Terry McLaurin was moving. He wasn't. We can see that clear as day. If you would have called the flag on Debo, I can see that because I thought Debo was offsides from the TV because Debo's foot was over the line, but they called it on Terry. And Terry is smart enough not to get a flag for that. So inconsistent, and these refs are part-time, right? That's the problem. These refs are part-time, and they still have 9 to 5s and regular jobs and families and all that. So we can't shit on them. It's just we have to put the blame on Goodell, put the blame on the officiating as a whole in the NFL, because I know everyone wants to shit on the refs and make fun of them and attack them personally. We don't want to do that. It's just like make consistent calls. And that tripping call, how do you not? How can you go back to the replay and say it was before the 2 minute drive, right, John? That tripping call.
I think so, and I think the biggest issue is that the refs on the field missed the touch, right? So
Yeah.
they don't call him down. He gets up, he scrambles. It's going to be 3rd and short, and he gets like 10-yard scramble or whatever. And then replay assist jumps in, and they're like, no, he was touched. It's actually down here. But then you see on the replay assist, clear as day, the guy tripped him. He almost did the splits, like kicking out his leg to trip Mariota. So it's like, where do if replay assist can jump in and say the contact, yes, he's down here, but they can't go back and call that penalty. It's like a tripping penalty once again is like, that's kind of it's either he tripped him or he didn't. There's not a subjective, like, was that enough contact to intentionally or like obstruct? I forget what the word is in the rule book, but to me, it's like, it's either a trip or it's not. Did my leg go out? Did it not? And you can see from there, the leg did go out. So it's like the NFL has that problem of like how much replay assist can jump in and correct. So at the end of the day, we just want the calls to be consistent and we want it to be the correct call. You want the players on the field to decide the game and make the plays to determine, the win and the loss. But we're seeing these times where it's like, how much can they jump in? What can they correct? And we see ones that are like obvious that are being missed. And it's like, how much do we need the refs on the field to make the right call? And how much can replay assist jump in? And, it's hard it's easy when there's only one game, right? Like replay assist should be, they're on our game. It's the only game happening. But when there's 7 1 o'clock games, it's like we don't see them jumping in, and it's impossible for them to see every play in every game. But we got to get this as a league. They have to get this consistent to make sure this stuff doesn't happen moving forward.
I just don't understand how the league or the ref can go back to replay assist and say, "Oh, we can throw the flag now." I don't understand that rule because it's clear as day. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you can go back and say, "Oh, he was down," but you can't go back and throw a flag, or you can't challenge a flag. Like, a coach can't throw out the red flag and say, "Oh, I want to challenge like holding or like roughing the pass." Maybe not holding, but like roughing the passer, something egregious, right?
Yeah.
I think you should be able to do that. I don't understand why you can't. Why the league doesn't allow that.
Yeah, I mean, and I was almost thinking on the very next play, the Commanders might have gotten the Revlon makeup call where it's like, hey, we know we missed the trip. We know that, we saw this. We missed the trip, right? We can see it clear as day on that replay. And maybe on the next play, they would give us that automatic first down, some type of illegal contact or some type of makeup call where it's like, okay, now we're even. We know we missed one. Here's a makeup, automatic first down, keep the drive going. But then they didn't get anything on the next play. And it's like, you get to that fine line of we missed it. And then it's like, you guys owe us one. And it's the refs are human. So, I don't know if the head official, when he gets that in his ear from replay assist, if they're like, you missed a trip, or if they even know they missed it, or you just get down this wormhole of, how much is subjective on the field and how much can replay assist jump in and correct when it's something obvious, like did his leg trip him or not. It should be something it's concrete, like out of bounds in basketball, right? Like it's either off his hand or it's not. And if I can't tell, I stick with what's on the field. So, we just have to, the league just has to get some way to get these things consistent because it's going to affect somebody else's team in a big spot. And I know the Colts and the Texans extra point thing from yesterday. That was a big thing on circulating online about, did the ball go over the upright? It wasn't really like the camera and the upright. Should they be taller? And you get down these wormholes of, when can replay assist jump in? When should they not? It's just, you just start going down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down.
Exactly. We've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole, but let's go and shift gears to something more positive. John, I'm very positive about this team and very hopeful and optimistic. I know I'm like that as a person, but we came out swinging, and that's what you want to see. These guys fight. Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner fight. We're out of the playoffs. We're not gonna win the Super Bowl this year. But these young guys, they need to be hungry. They need to develop. They need to get the reps. So that's what I love to see. Traylon Burks with the catch. Terry McLaurin healthy. These guys, these young guys making plays. Jordan McGee flying around. I like to see Chris Rodriguez running with anger. Get Bill some more touches. But Josh Connerly looked good, except for that hold. He looked really, really good against one of the best pass rushers in the entire league. So we got our tackle situation sorted. We got Cosme back. Terry McLaurin's gonna be back. Jaden, I hope, comes back against the Vikings so we can just put the league on notice that we're not to be messed with. I don't care about our draft pick. I just want to see Jaden Daniels ball out the rest of the year, John.
Yeah, no, you said it great. They didn't quit. Some teams 3-9 coming off the year we had last year. Ton of injuries. You could have seen them just kind of come out, put up another dud performance. But, you could tell in the Madrid game with Quinn, that was the first game he had taken over play calling. You could tell there was a different energy around the team and the defense for sure. They go on the bye week, come out of the bye week national TV against one of the top powerhouses in the AFC, put up a battle, right? You're one play away from knocking off who are now right now as we sit currently the number one seeds in the AFC. And, we're basically a dropped ball away from getting a yard away and a drop ball away from, beating the Bears earlier in the season, who are currently the number one seeds in the NFC. So, before the injuries and, before the injuries, we were competing with those teams. And last year, everything broke our way, right? Every single thing, from the Hail Mary to these last second comebacks to the fourth down conversions at an astronomically high, 80 some % rate that's unheard of. So, you're kind of having that regression to the mean in a sense, where this year you're 0-4 in one possession games. And, if you go 3-1 in those 4 games, you're 6-6. You're in the conversation of being in the hunt again. And, I think that little stretch where the defense and Witt, obviously something wasn't clicking, and, they were just couldn't stop anybody. Teams weren't punting. They were scoring every possession. We weren't getting any turnovers. After that change has been made, they're right there competitive. The offense is always they can score about 20 a game, even with Mariota, right? Mm-hmm. I think with Jaden, you have more of an explosiveness to the offense, but with Mariota, he can still dink and dunk you down the field, drop the ball in over the top occasionally, use his legs when he has to, mix in the running game, right? When we see the defense giving up touchdown, you're down 21-0, then Cliff has to go away from the running game, right? He can't keep going back to Rodriguez, back to Bill, trying to get the running game established. So it kind of goes hand in hand with, the defense is able to keep them competitive, only holding the Broncos to field goals multiple times, getting that one turnover, getting a couple early punts to give that offense a chance, and Cliff to stay to the game plan, be able to use the run more, not have to go pass every possession. And the pieces are there. And like I said, I think it's just you're 3-9, but you weren't going to get all of those breaks that you got last year. We had so many games where we saw Jaden on 4th down, 4th and 15s, right? Making these plays to extend games and win the games. That's not going to happen every single year. And that's kind of the year that Denver's having, which is why I see so many similarities in terms of nobody expected them to be where they are. They're finding ways to win at the end. And I think the Commanders are a couple plays away from, they could literally be, 6-6, one play here and there. And they're battling injuries there, but the one thing that's really great to see is they're still playing for Quinn, right? You can tell that culture, that brotherhood is real. They could have easily quit a long time ago. They're still competing hard. They're still battling. They're 3-9 right now, but I think the main thing we want to see moving forward is Jaden get some more reps in, stay healthy. The young guys, McGee, get those reps in, get that playing time. Sanders still shift to the outside. I think he's a lot better as an outside corner, can use the out of bounds, boundary as to help him since he's a smaller corner. But yeah, I think there's reasons to be optimistic. I will say though, Z, that if we lose to JJ McCarthy or Max Brosmer or Brosmer, however you say it this weekend, then I'll feel a little bit different, because that team, no matter who is quarterback, the offense is awful. Brosmer and McCarthy, they are not franchise quarterbacks to build around. I think Minnesota's got to be in the QB market, maybe a stopgap quarterback until they can get another young person if they don't like someone in the draft. But they're not. Yeah, I mean those
Goose egg.
quarterbacks suck.
Brosman put up a goose egg. He's not him. He's not even a backup. J.J. McCarthy might be a backup in this league. So I think we play Brosmer. We better come out swinging and beat them. I want to see Jaden come back and just put 50 on the Vikings. I know Brian Flores and that defense is good, but if they're on the field all the time because the Vikings can't move the ball, then they're going to be gassed. So I want to see them come out swinging. And I will say this again. I am manifesting this. Go sign Jalen Phillips. Go get the best edge rusher in free agency because we don't know if we can draft the best edge rusher in the draft. And if we can sign Jalen Phillips, we can go out and draft a wide receiver one, like one of the Ohio State guys or that Arizona guy, and then have Terry and that dude on the outside with Debo in the slot. That's going to be a scary offense. And I do want to re-sign Debo. Maybe 2 years, $30 million would be fair. But man, I want to be explosive, John, and I know we can be, man. I have a lot of hope. Quick thing before we head off, the Terry McLaurin situation. I know people on Reddit, fans, are still mad about that, how Terry held in, and people are blaming AP. Bro, we don't know if AP had that original deal on the table this whole time. We don't know if Terry was holding firm on 40 mil, and then AP was like, no, that's too much. We don't know that. We can only... I mean, it's two sides every story. So I think like Terry wanted like 35 and AP wasn't budging on 30. And as a GM, that's what you want to do. What if he caved? Imagine if AP caved to Terry and said, all right, here's 35, here's 40. This is what you deserve. I love Terry, but you don't deserve 35, 40, bro. Like, I know you've done so much for this franchise, but that's a little too much. 30 is a great price. So I just want to touch upon, any comments on that?
No, I totally agree with you. He's definitely wide receiver one. He's proven that. You can tell when he's out there, the offense, the team is different. Gives him that explosive over-the-top threat. Opens up the running game, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah, I mean, 35 is a little too steep. I think the highest I'd go is like 31, 32. I mean, obviously, he's got to look out for himself. He's trying to get paid, right? You know, when you're up for that as a professional, so you can't fault him for trying to make his money. But we're never going to know truly kind of the situation with the whole holdout and the contract stuff. But I do think that affected him not getting those reps in early in the season. You know, injuries happen. It's hard to know if it's because he wasn't getting the reps in at practice, and you know, the whole situation's kind of tough. But obviously Terry's a big part of the team. You know, he's hopefully a Commander for life. If you know, he's that type of energy, that type of guy, glue guy you want to build around, true leader on the team there. You know, he was drafted just to be a special team gunner, right? That was when he was drafted. That was all people thought he was going to be. And he quickly, proved them wrong that he was wide receiver one in this league. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough. You want him to make his money and get his bag, but at the same time, I don't think we could afford. Adam Peters couldn't afford to overpay him because he didn't draft him, right? He hasn't been here since the start. Maybe he doesn't have that loyalty to him as the previous regime. So, you know, tough situation all around. Obviously, I'm glad he's a Commander. He's definitely a difference maker when he's out there, and you know, hopefully he's a Commander for life.
Absolutely. And on that note, thank you guys for watching so much. Like, comment, subscribe. What we should talk about next down in the comments down below. I'm Z Shaw.
I'm Jay Nice.
Stay clocked out, everyone. Deuces.